does what God does enough times, it becomes God is. You put it together, you get what you wanted and desired enough times. He believes he will become one who is wanted and desired and accepted.
Because God has power. And if one does what God does enough times, one will become as God is.
One does what God does enough times, it becomes God is. You put it together, you get what you wanted and desired enough times. He believes he will become one who is wanted and desired and accepted.
Because God has power. And if one does what God does enough times, one will become as God is.
Well, anybody gonna go bail bow out?
just take a big shit on the floor? Yeah, and I'm in the cab too, so like the volume's wicked loud.
So now we're live right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey guys. Hopefully,
Hey guys.
yeah, it's coming through the desktop audio fine. Okay, so I'm going to try to pay attention to the chat, but the thing is, I could recap all of today, but I feel like most of the people that would watch this, which aren't very many compared to my other content, probably watched the majority of the trial today and probably watched me with Kevin and already know my opinions. So if you want to join the conversation, you got to join the Discord server. The link is at the top there, and you join that, and then just come into stream and you can talk. We have at least one free carrot retard in here because I noticed that his name was Cosgrove's Dementia. So I don't know if you want to talk Cosgrove's Dementia. Alright, so the rule is that everybody who's not named a dumbass name like Cosgrove's Dementia can lurk if they really want to, but you can't Cosgrove's Dementia, so you just got server muted and deafened. Sorry. So what's up, guys? So, alright, the first question I have to ask is, like, so far, what was your favorite moment as far as what happened in testimony today?
I would have to say, that I really liked on the, was it redirect on the firefighter?
Jake.
When Hank just went all, nuclear bomb and said, well, they didn't show the whole video. And then he shows the whole video. Going where,
yeah, that was
the
a
defense
fast
was trying to make it.
That was a fast one
Yeah.
that Jackson tried to pull, where he's showing Nuttall a different portion of that dash cam video and trying to confuse him as if it was the same portion that he had been questioned on in direct.
Well, yeah, and then Hank just stomped on him.
I gotta say,
Oh, the HA was just mailing it in today.
Yeah. You think so?
I think so. I think he's out of gas. He does not give a shit. And, they had nothing new. He didn't even repackage anything. He ran through the things. And I just something good. I don't know if he's going to call any more of the EMTs and all that bullshit like laboriously like Lally did, but he's got like the two best witnesses up front for this part of the thing. So I think he's, Jackson is going to start off in a hole. He already made an ass out of himself. Ruined his credibility. The credibility is key for the lawyer. And so by not showing him the whole thing, hopefully that has damaged his credibility with the jury. And if he goes after Kerry Roberts, and he almost has to, she's going to plant him in the fucking, cellar somewhere. I don't know. She's just so credible. She's like an unshakable object. She has no connection to the whole Alberts or any of that bullshit or anything. And she's such a no-nonsense person that it's going to be really difficult for him to score any points. But he sort of has to get up. I think he has to get up there and try. Albert!
Yeah, I think so, honestly. And I think as far as Jackson's credibility goes, I think he really set some landmines for himself in his opening, because it was very, exactly what you would expect from him. It was very impassioned. It was inflammatory. It was very, dare I say, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say sexy because that's not the right word. Salacious. Salacious is the word that I want to use. It was very salacious, but he made a lot of promises in that we know he cannot keep. Okay.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Oh, so I can...
Missed a lot then today, and over the last couple of days. Oh.
Come on. Andy.
The one thing I was thinking about
Sorry,
since
I didn't mean to intrude.
Well, we're live, just so you know, Sarah. Yeah, go ahead.
I realize that. I apologize.
the one thing I was thinking about was, I know I've heard a couple places, I don't know, Kate, you might have said it too, that they have some emails between Kerry Roberts and the DA. And I wonder if that wouldn't be, well, I mean, I would think it would probably be a landmine for the defense to have to skate around, because if she brings up in those emails the harassment, doesn't that open the door?
Yeah, and I think if we piece things together, it sounds like the defense got a tip from this unknown person. And I only know this because I'm cross-referencing from like stuff on Twitter and then things I've seen that Turtle Boy has said, right? So he's claiming that somebody came in and tipped off the defense that somebody wanted to flip. And so they're asking for emails or any sort of evidence of anyone who wanted to change, was reluctant to testify, didn't want to testify anymore, right? And they keep they keep referencing these emails that they saw between, I think it was Jen McCabe, Kerry Roberts, and the DA. So I suspect, that maybe the content of those emails probably does have something to do with harassment, because that would be the number one reason that they are reluctant to testify. In my opinion. So I think that they really can't touch that without, opening that door. That's just what I'm assuming. So I don't know, because the emails that are being kind of talked about, Turtle Boy's being coy with because they're under a protective order. But the only reason that both he and Karen would have them, well, there'd be two. Number one would be because she shared them with him despite the protective order. And number two would be they both have them because they got them in discovery. And the only way they would both get them in discovery is if it pertained to witness intimidation.
I have a question. Does anybody else kind of wish they'd petitioned for a change of judge?
I find she's good. I find she covers a lot of stuff that the defense want, and it's almost like she's being very careful. I don't know. I think she's best kind.
Yeah, I've just found her to be a little what's the word? Uneven, I guess. Maybe sort of. I've sort of questioned a few things, and it's sort of.
I think she's very.
I just found her just odd.
I think that she is very.
So that as a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm just a British person on the other side of the UK, and I'm just thinking, but it's like they've got a whole new, like, the prosecution's got pretty much a whole new team, and they've stuck with the same lawyers for the most part to lead Karen Reid's team, but I was just thinking that maybe it would be, with even fresher eyes on the judge's part, would it be like a better trial going forward? Or do you think it would change the trial sort of in lieu of the, sort of more towards the prosecution side? Or do you think it would change anything? But,
generally the cases are sent, even if there was an appeal. Let's say Karen Reid is guilty. She goes to the appeals court and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, you made a mistake in the jury instructions. Go back and retry the case." They send it back to the same judge.
Yeah.
It has happened sometimes when cases have been sent back 2 and 3 times to the same judge, that they send it to a different judge. That's considered a real slap in the face. But it doesn't work. And there's no reason to do it. I know that defense has made the motions to recuse or whatever, and it's just that's all for show. That's all for fundraising.
And like,
There's no
Karen
reason.
pissy
The
fit, right?
the judge is never going to recuse herself,
Well, not
and the
just that.
appeals court is not going to sit back and say reassign this to a different judge. The judge isn't perfect. She's far from perfect, but
Well,
she's
no
well
judging.
she's well within, you know, like that guy in Atlanta in that rapper case. He was a fruitcake. He was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. She's not in
was
that.
wild.
She was not in that. She's not in that category. Okay, she's allowed to
Yeah.
get things wrong. Let's just put it to you that way. She's allowed to get things wrong.
Does she really allow
Of course.
Because I don't think she does. I think that sometimes first of all, I think it was completely for show and or Karen's insistence because she was having a hissy fit about the judge after one or two adverse rulings, right? But like overall, I don't think they're gonna get a more defense friendly judge in that court. Like I've seen some of the other ones, like Judge Krupp, for instance, right? Does not fuck around. Like
Sure.
he's, takes a very dim view of all this stuff, right? Kanoni is very unbiased. So she's going in the best she can, carrying that presumption of innocence, right? Like, even in her own mind, I mean, because obviously legally she is. I think they probably wouldn't have gotten anyone softer. And I don't think she's that off base. You have to understand, she has to make sure that this woman has a fair trial. That's literally like her number one job. She wants to keep things moving. She needs to keep things orderly. And she needs to have rulings that don't get overturned in appeal, right? Because, like, ideally, you just want to try a case, and it be done, and hopefully justice was served. So I think she does. I think that there are times that she could have probably bent over a little bit more to accommodate particularly the victims and witnesses in this case. And I think that I do think she's cognizant of it, because you can kind of tell sometimes that it comes through that she's aware and she probably doesn't have good feelings about it. But her need to ensure a fair trial, I think, overrides all of it. So, like, I don't think that she's a bad judge, honestly. And I don't think.
No. I'm not saying. I'm not suggesting that she's a bad judge. And she's working within like such shitty parameters. Like Turtle Boy has done such a number on the general public, the public at large, that it's almost impossible for there to be a 100% fair trial now. I think, personally.
I think depending upon what you're saying, that's why there's like zero chance that any final verdict is going to get reversed.
Who's testifying?
I think she could basically throw that fear out the window.
Is Brian L testifying tomorrow?
We don't know. Probably not, though. It seems like he's kind of going in chronological order. My favorite moment of the whole thing, honestly, was when Alan Jackson spent 2.5 hours badgering that firefighter, right, to try to undermine and discredit him. The only thing of real substance that Nuttall testified to were Karen Reed's statements, right? Like, can we all agree there? Like, not that it's not important to establish the life-saving efforts, and he kind of lays the foundation for some of the stuff that the integrity of the clothing and whatever other evidence, right? Because that was not his job. We're establishing right off the bat, nothing fishy there. The clothes get cut off where they get cut off and they get thrown, right? But like he spent all this time really trying to beat him down and discredit him, and then Hank just pulls out a video from some of the unaired footage from her documentary, and there's Karen Reed going, "Yeah, I know I said I hit him, but I don't believe it was that many times."
No, that's brilliant. Like,
what a gift!
I have
though,
to say,
oh fuck.
Oh. One of the things I have to say is with Judge Kanoni, I like the fact that she's back because she's had enough of the bullshit from the defense. She's seen the games, she's watched them, she let them, stretch the line last time. Now she's making them toe the line. And I almost wonder whether or not, and this is just my speculation, the reason that you're not seeing as much from Yannetti right now is because Jackson knows the only shot he has is to go over the line. And going over the line may get him kicked off.
Hmm.
I mean, definitely there was some motions that were heard after they stopped testimony for the day, and so that was actually really interesting to me with the ARCA situation. I don't know if anyone caught this. Fox 25. Yeah, it was so essentially ARCA is still in controversy, right? But there was some indication.
What was that?
It's probably either a hot mic or I forgot. Since this is Discord, I might have to feel
Is that just a noise that comes off
No, so it was something.
when anybody says ARCA?
No, but yeah, so ARC is still in controversy. So it sounds like that through the unaired footage of the documentary, Hank Brennan was able to surmise that there should have been texts and emails between ARCA and pretty much like all of the defense team, maybe even including Karen Reed, apparently. And so they produced a list, but not the contents. And when questioned about the contents, Alessi's like, well, they're all deleted, which is like the ultimate irony to me, because I thought that if anything was deleted, that was automatically like negative inference, guilty as sin, because like pretty much this is all they have on these witnesses is the allegations, unproven to this point, probably will be debunked, but just the allegations that they were deleting stuff from their phones. And here we have like over 100 text messages they just don't have anymore. They're deleted. They're like, it was 2 years ago. No, it wasn't. It was supposed to be only a year ago. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I still have texts from a year ago.
Yeah, I got texts from 4 years ago. Isn't that spoliation of evidence, though?
Well,
I think that's what the judge said too. She said, "Aren't you supposed to keep your documentation since it's your client for?" I believe she said 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. So it sounds like they had
business records.
They had some sort of record keeping. I think she was referencing ABA rules maybe on that. I'd have to go back and listen, but like there's no way that after a year or less, right, all of their text messages just auto deleted. Like that is the worst excuse I've ever heard in my life. Like that far surpasses butt dials as far as nonsense and tomfoolery go. Like I'm calling shenanigans, right? So she's demanding a voir dire, and that's happening Friday, right? I don't know. Like, does anyone like? I think the ARC is going to be able to testify no matter what.
Yeah, she said on Friday that she's ordering ARCA to bring all of the documents. Yeah. She wants to see everything, and they're doing a voir dire, and she signed the order, I guess, this evening for it. I saw it somewhere.
Okay.
I think she's going to let ARCA testify because I think if she didn't, there would be an opening for the defense to say something.
That's my feeling too. I don't know. I know.
But I think Hank is smart enough to just bring ARCA on the stand and, talk to them, and then all of a sudden drop a piece of video on them with Alan Jackson going, "Have we ever talked before?" No. Boom. Here's the email where they talked, and they talked about money. So you lied in open court? I mean, and that's what Hank has done. I mean, he did that in the Whitey Bulger trial. I think he'll do it again.
Oh, so he has form for that kind of shit.
Well, I mean, I think more like I'm curious to see, because like she did sound done with the nonsense, and this is like, this is a pattern at this point. Like, I'm sorry, they are clearly hiding something, because the consistent obfuscation of anything that has to do with ARCA, even as they're being compelled by the court to to give it over, to me is obviously indicative of something not great. I just don't think. And I know we have at least 2 lawyers in here, so I'll ask one of them, doesn't matter which one. But like, I mean, as far as her appeal risk, like she kind of has to let them in, right?
I think she's bearing zero appeal risk at this point, because nobody is going to put anybody else through this. I think
Oh,
they're
God.
just never going to do it. They're never going to say, "Oh yeah, go do this over again." With all the
Can we
fucking,
do this a third
Not-
time? A third time
I just
lucky.
think-
with you.
I just think that's very far fetched. That you know,
Can try to put it
as I said, the judicial system is like Soylent Green. You know, it's made out of people, and you know, and this is their person is Bev, and they're not gonna. No, they're not gonna listen. Nobody is gonna give a shit about any of Karen Reed's fucking appeals. She had her chance. She acted like an asshole, and you know that's what she got. You know, and I don't think that anybody gives a fuck about her appeals.
So
You know,
you think that she could I mean, in theory, preclude Arca from testifying and not have a risk of appeal on that?
yeah. I mean, there's going to be an appeal. There's going to be 10 years of appeals after this is over, if she gets convicted. But I don't think any judge is going to condemn Beverly Cannoni for anything she does at this point. Why would you? I mean, like, she's in a fucking very difficult position, and she's making more or less reasonable decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, what could you fault her for? You know?
And it'd be to appeal if, like,
That's what I think.
they've got evidence of Karen Reed admitting that she's, like, physical, like, on video of her going, "I hit him."
Right, but I don't
I
Plus,
hit
if the
him.
appellate judges are convinced of her substantive guilt, they're not going to fucking.
Like,
No.
so what are they going to appeal? Like, if they can find her guilty, what are they going to appeal it on? They saw it.
Well, no,
She admitted it.
What you would admit, I suppose that were it me, I would, if I was convicted and Cannoni had said I'm not letting Arca testify, I would appeal and say, hey, she held back a very, like, a seminal witness for me, the star of my defense, and, I mean, maybe she could. I don't know. You don't think that would be?
Please ignore the video
there's
of me admitting my crime.
But that wouldn't.
It's like,
Okay, it might not be a frivolous appeal, but the doors are going to be shut on Karen Reed. Okay? She costs the fucking state of Massachusetts millions of fucking dollars. Okay?
yeah.
It caused all this fucking trouble. Okay? Nobody is going to bail her ass out.
No,
It's
understand
over.
that, but
Forget it.
My understanding.
This is it for her. This is the Super Bowl for her.
My understanding, though, is like on an appeal. So, like, I mean, would your guilt? I mean, you've already been found guilty regardless. So, I mean, if you're appealing by all intents and purposes, you are guilty. That's what the law says, right? Or am I wrong? But like, if you have like a valid reason, like, so I mean, let's say that, and this is speculative here. Cannoni arbitrarily just says, "Yeah, your accident reconstructionist, they can't testify anymore." Right? That would obviously be a gross violation of your Sixth Amendment, right? Right? And so, like,
Let me tell you something. I had a friend who went to be a clerk on the Second Department of New York, okay, which is the appeals court for Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island. It's the busiest appeals court in the United States of America.
Yeah, I would have said so.
Okay? And she went to work for this judge. You know what the judge told her? This is a, liberal New York State, okay? He said, I affirm all convictions. Do not come back to me and tell me that somebody was wrongly convicted. I affirm all convictions. Period.
Okay.
I don't love hearing
Okay.
So he wouldn't.
That's
So
the world
he
we live in.
wasn't.
That's the world we live in. It's not
we
Alabama.
let
That wasn't in Alabama. That wasn't in Mississippi. That wasn't in, Texas. That's in fucking Brooklyn, New York. Okay? The judge said, I affirm all convictions. I don't want to hear about anybody who was wrong. Nobody's wrongly in his mind, nobody's wrongly convicted. Okay?
That's a close-minded a-hole of a judge.
I don't know.
No,
I
I'm not
mean,
defending.
maybe. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I don't know if you're an attorney or not. Maybe Kate knows the answer. When she pulled Karen up and asked her if she wants to stay with her defense team after they were caught with their hand in a cookie jar, and does that not now preclude her from being able to use ineffective assistance of counsel?
That was the point.
Essentially, yeah.
Oh, nice point.
I mean, that's literally the point of doing that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not. I can only the way that it was explained to me, and I think like the opinions vary slightly depending, but at least for that issue, right? Am I right? Like so, like pretty much like she reads a colloquy, which is pretty much like you understand what you're doing and staying with them, despite the fact that I just found that they lied to me, and she was like, "Yep." So I think that pretty much waives. But I think if they did something else like super egregious, that perhaps she would have an argument based on that. That's where it varies. I've been told some people, nope, she just waives it outright, and other people that it would be more constricted to that one issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
if they did something afterwards that was really bad,
Yeah, but it's like,
maybe not. But
how do you complain to the judge? But my team are liars, judge. They lied to me. And it's like, yeah, bitch, they lied to me too. But I asked you if you were okay with that, and you said yes. It's a tough shit. That's your team. You have to, you made your bed, you're lying it.
I like the comment she made, like when they all went back to the table and she said, "You're going to stick with your team." But she looked at Mr. Jackson, Miss Little, and Alessi and said, "Just remember that you're here under special permission, and Mr. Yannetti can try this case himself."
I think she's a little bit more passive aggressive about it. I think she asked like, "Mr. Who's the lead attorney?" And Jackson got up and was like, "We don't do that, And she's like, "Great, so if need be, Mr. Yannetti could try this case himself." And I don't think she's ever gonna do that. I mean, it's just like wild to me. I guess that I can understand why people get frustrated with her with this. Is that like there's just so much rot in this defense, and she's not very stern with them. I mean, I feel like she's getting progressively more so maybe that's the method to her madness. Maybe she practices like gentle parenting judging. It is like tries to start out soft and like increase the sternness as these things continue. Because I will say she seems to be a lot shorter this time than she was the first time, even though the first time was arguably a bit more egregious, right? I just don't understand how the free Karen Read people can't look at this ARCA situation. Like, imagine if it was the Commonwealth that this was happening with right now. They would be losing their shit about how it's so corrupt, and it would be it would be extremely corrupt if the Commonwealth was doing this. I mean, over 100 emails, and whoops, not emails, I'm sorry, text messages, and whoops, they just auto deleted. And this is after they've been compelled, I think, twice to turn over whatever they have, and every time they're like, "Oh nope, sorry, that's we gave it to you, and that's it, that's all we have." And then they come back and, "Oh wait, maybe there's a little bit more, but we don't have it." Like, I mean, it's crazy. Obviously, something shady as hell happened with ARCA, right? Or am I crazy?
Oh no, you're right. Something shady as hell did.
Excuse me, Miss Kate. I was asked to join to tell you that your audio on your stream for you is really low.
Oh no, hold on.
Oh.
Yes.
Your
Hi, guys.
audio on your line is really high.
Yeah, maybe I just gotta crank my mic up. Sorry. I try to keep
Okay, I
it
just wanted to let you
down.
know.
Yeah, I try to keep
I'm gonna
it
go
down.
back to watching. Bye.
Okay.
I mean, as far as any like untoward stuff with ARCA, I would have to imagine, like, unless there's like a full-on conspiracy going on, I would have to just imagine that there's some stuff in there crossing the line as far as discussions about what they're going to testify to. It's probably the defense saying, "Hey, we want you to say this," instead of, just the normal, like, "Hey, maybe we stay away from this topic." They're probably literally instructing them. That'd be my guess.
Well, it's got to be worse than that. It's got to be worse than that because I mean, like, to some extent, I think that's like sort of normal prep. But I mean, like, they're straight up deleting emails, not emails. I'm sorry, text messages. I'm stuck on like Hillary Clinton or something in my head, like, oh, deleting the emails, whatever that bullshit was. But this is real, and like they're deleting text messages and lying to the judge. And I mean, I'm sure to a certain extent they wanted to overstate how objective they were, right? But on the other hand, I mean, 100 text messages, it's got to be something more than that. There's something shady going on here. I don't know.
I wonder what your celebrate data would look like.
Expert witnesses of this caliber, you know, I've hired them myself, and they charge an ass load of money, and you know, they know what they're supposed to do, and they know what they're supposed to say, and they know what they're not supposed to say, and they can say what they're supposed, you know, what you want to hear without saying it, you know, in a crude way. You know what I mean? They're not going to say, well, what do you think? It'd be better if we said we came from the right or the left, you know, like, or whatever. They're not going to say that. They're cagier than that. I mean, that's why they get paid the big bucks. You know what I mean? They're going to be smoother than that. They're not going to.
What I was asking though is, it's like beyond that, like beyond them knowing I shouldn't say this, I should say this. Like, what if there's no doubt whatsoever that the injuries could have definitely been caused by Karen backing up into it, right? So, like, even them, as biased as they are, if they're asked straight out, could this have happened because of a car? They cannot say no, like that, on that wide of a question, that broad of a question. But if they say that, they're screwed. So that's kind of what I'm wondering.
But they didn't, right? They didn't say it couldn't have come from a car accident. Right. I think the only thing they ruled out is that his head hit the taillight.
I think I hear what he's saying though, and I think that would actually make a lot of sense, which is that if they were having these conversations internally, right? It could be hundreds of text messages where they're going, well, I mean, if he fell back and hit his head, would that be consistent? And they were like, yeah, no, that would be consistent. Like, oh shit, we got to stay away from that altogether. You know what I mean? Like, that to me would be plausible.
Look, if they're that clumsy, they wouldn't have gotten. I mean, they wouldn't have gotten as far as they have. You know what I mean?
They got as far as they have because of the FBI.
Like your communications with expert witnesses aren't privileged. Okay.
Deleted text.
So, like, you know, you can't say like, "Hey, we want to say he never got hit by the car, so make sure you come up with that." You know, like, they're not going to say, "Well, you have the driver and the thing and the blah blah blah." And they, you know, they put two and two together in their heads. They're not fucking idiots.
But
that's what's going on.
What I would say to that is, though, if they were really communicating under the understanding, assumption, and expectation that these were discoverable communications that are not privileged and may make it to the court, they probably wouldn't have deleted them all, right? Like, they'd probably just hand them over because they've been planning for that possibility the whole time.
So I have a question then. Like, Jen, I thought for some delusional
Sorry, he was gonna... He was just going to
say... Oh, I'm sorry. I'll stop.
No, I was just going to say that, yes, right? I mean, like, I always disagree. You know, there's always people with the criminal case like, oh, you shouldn't search there because he would have hidden it if it, you know, that was, you know, that's too obvious or something. Sometimes you get these kind of arguments like you should assume the criminal is like a brilliant person and that they're not just doing stupid things, and maybe text messages are a place where, you know, it wouldn't necessarily be, you wouldn't might say things that aren't discovery. Yeah, sure, that can happen. I mean, Wolf is a young guy. He's not necessarily as savvy as the other people, right? Wolf is a new guy. Rentschler is an older guy, more senior guy. You know. But I can guarantee you that Judge Welcher didn't do any of this shit.
No, but I think he was probably coming
But
from a more professional and principled place. And the only other thing I would just add to that, with sort of the, let's not assume that everybody's brilliant and making good decisions, even the lawyers, is if you look at the adjacent case, the witness intimidation case, they exchanged a lot of text messages with Turtle Boy. And a lot of them, I mean, the text message where David Yannetti is encouraging him and telling him that it was awesome and epic and keep it up, buddy, right? And you look at what he's referencing when you cross-reference the date and time with the live stream that he had done that night. He was cold calling witnesses from a phone list that the defense had given him because they had it in discovery. You know what I mean? Like, these are not
yeah,
the text messages seem to be a real Achilles heel for this defense team.
right. People might do stupid things. Okay, yes, right. You can't assume that everyone is an arch criminal mastermind. Right.
And
You're correct.
the question I have is, and this has bothered me, and I've asked Kevin a couple of times, didn't really get a total answer. Is there a possibility, especially now that they have this list of text between Jackson, Yannetti, Turtle Boy, that somehow they can get dragged into the charges for witness intimidation?
The lawyers, you mean?
Yeah, because I mean, they're not his lawyers, so there's no client lawyer privilege, and they were actively involved in keeping him going.
Wow, that's a good point.
My question earlier regarding text messages being deleted. Do the networks for whichever phone the person is using, I thought the networks also would have had, like, would be able to recover or help them recover those messages, or would it depend on how old those messages are?
It's incumbent on a number of things, honestly. Some carriers keep messages, like copies of messages. I think, honestly, most do not. I think most carriers these days, the messages are encrypted pretty much, so they're like end to end.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, even if they did have images of the texts, it would probably be subject to a retention policy. It would just be like, I mean, they try to keep the cell contract costs down and competitive, and that would be the first fat that I think most providers would cut anyway, is not retaining that sort of stuff.
Storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I was just wondering whether they were recoverable in that way, but I guess if they were, then they would have done that already, and we wouldn't be talking about missing texts.
Yeah, and I think it's more like, I mean, it screams what's going on here more than anything, because I mean, it does really just defy logic that they were just, oh my god, whoops, auto deleted, right? Like, that 99.9% didn't happen, and like, I know that. I mean, in a civil case, you would definitely be drawing a negative inference on that, but I'm sure that the judge can interpret that as she sees fit, right? And I think she did. So,
do you think there's any chance of any sanctions at the end of this? I mean, this is the second time the judge has literally, like, Alessi went on whining, and the judge took like 10 seconds to say, yeah, you guys basically broke the rules before, and I called you on it, and I'm doing the same thing now. Like, that's crazy that that's happened twice in such a close proximity. I have to imagine there's going to be repercussions.
Especially for lawyers that aren't even native Massachusettsians, Bostonians, whatever. Like, come over there, like they've been brought into your state, and then they break all your fucking rules. That just seems crazy. I don't know. Anyway, it's not my.
On a
wheelhouse.
side note,
It does seem a little permissive.
So one of the things I was thinking is it possible that these text messages got deleted? One, the the text messages couldn't accidentally be deleted from like Jen McCabe's phones, but they can from the defense's phones. And do you think maybe they deleted them because now with the new U.S. attorney, that the new U.S. attorney isn't going to protect them? And and they're releasing more stuff that wasn't released before.
So like they lost their buddy in the office.
Yeah, no, you can tell Leah Foley, the new U.S. attorney, is like done. Like she immediately closed. So my understanding,
Pablo.
after talking to a lot of, I swear to God, I'm gonna have to get rid of you.
That was amazing.
Yeah, fuck off, dude. I know exactly who it was without even looking. They know exactly who it was. Yeah, like I know that she closed the investigation, and I know that is like usually, from what I've been told by several retired FBI agents at this point, is that they'll just leave that shit open a lot of the time, like indefinitely, right? Because it's like it's buried that way, sort of, and it's just like in that way, if more evidence comes out, then they'll grab that. That's why I honestly think that Karen Reed keeps saying like, no, it's definitely still open. I think it's part denial, but part because that was the expectation that they had, was that, they would find nothing and whatever, they'll keep it open forever, we can use it forever. She didn't let that happen though, Leah Foley. Like she made sure that it was shut and made sure that everybody knew it, and now she's giving over more and more information. Like, yeah, that whole FBI side plot really was a dud.
Oh, good. That makes me happy, at least.
And what? Yeah.
You guys know Bao got arrested today in the buffer zone?
I've seen people talking about it in the side chat.
Who did? Who got arrested?
So it's this guy. His
Oh.
name is Bao. He's an IRL streamer and kind of a former, I guess, at this point, 1A auditor. I don't think he really audits that much anyway. I mean, he's harmless, like whatever. And he went down there, and I think he was probably genuinely somewhat confused. I can see his confusion, just because like he's walking over to someone in front of the court that has like flags and shit. So like I could see myself stumbling in there and seeing somebody who looked like a protester and being like, oh, I'm gonna go bother them, right? And he was inside, and so the cops tell him like pretty much he has to leave. He tells them like, I'll comply with you, I just don't know what's going on. Which maybe he didn't have to do. I don't know. I think he was genuinely confused, but they arrested him and they brought him to court, and now they're questioning his competency. So they've put him in jail with no bail pending a mental health hearing tomorrow.
Oh no!
Yeah, they are. That sucks.
Oh look, he can be a pain in the ass sometimes, and he can be a bit of a like. He's entertaining as fuck, but
I like
Christ,
I
he's
like
not
Bao.
mental.
I mean, he's definitely
I like
got some
Bao too,
mental
man.
health issues. I don't think it changes whether or not he's competent, but he definitely has like I mean, he's a combat veteran that was once thrown in solitary confinement in prison. Like definitely life has not been kind to his brain, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely carved some
Yeah.
neuropaths in there. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it pisses me off because if anyone was going to get arrested in there, it should have been Tom CPU. Okay, like why you gotta come? It's because Bao is the least white and the poorest looking in the group. And like again, I'm not trying to be mean to Bao because it's already kind of a poor looking group anyway, but like he's definitely, he sticks out, right? And they went for him instead of all the white people. So like I don't know.
Well, I'm betting
Yeah,
he went First Amendment auditor on the cops, and then once he got in court, he went full sob sit. That's why
No,
he's got
I
a
don't
cop.
think he did. I mean, there's like some footage of it and stuff. He was not going all First Amendment auditor at all. I mean, he was just being Bao. He was definitely agitated, and he was like asking for water at one point, and I think he felt suffocated. Like I don't know. I mean, he was just being Bao.
Maybe he had a little bit of PTSD.
He definitely does. He definitely does. I don't think he
Yeah,
hides. I don't think he
How
hides
you
them.
doing?
being in prison overnight is not, or being in jail overnight is not going to help him in any way, shape, or form. Bless him. That's sad.
Anyway, free Bao,
Hey,
I
Kate.
guess. Hi.
But soft sits are going to soft sit. So as soon as he gets in front of a judge and runs the script, they'll just go, all right, competency hearing.
If I may, because I saw what happened with Bao. This is 10th Man, everybody. It's my gaming Discord. I don't really use
Jesus
Discord.
Christ, it's 10th Man. Okay, hi.
How's it going?
What's up?
So with Bao, listen, you know me. I'll tell you if an auditor's being a jerk, right? Like I don't have any. But so
You are
he was
the patron saint of objectivity, 10th Man. Please tell us more about it.
So Bao was talking to a cop and following his instructions. The cop said, "Hey, you can't be here." He pointed over because the mass accountability, I believe, was recording also from just like down a little bit. And while he was talking to the cop, getting directed where he was allowed to be, the supervisor came and literally just attacked him and threw him up against a police vehicle for no reason, like without saying a word.
We saw the video. That's not 100% true. The cop told him where he could be like 15 times. He was doing that whole like, oh, so tell me what's going on and I'll totally comply. Just tell me what's going on. And he
No. Cops attack people out of nowhere. That's just how it goes.
like that's not true.
Right. They just are wild.
Free Bao.
So are you saying
dirty? Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Are you saying that
we get it?
because you believe that Bao was putting
No,
on an
what I'm
act?
saying is we have eyeballs.
This is what I'm saying about Bao, and I don't necessarily. That's not exactly what I saw. Like again, I like Bao, right? I think that they grossly overreacted, and I say that because I've watched for I don't even know how many years now those fucking free Karen Reed pukes acting all sorts of retarded over there, and like they give them a lot of latitude. If the first person they're gonna like, he wasn't doing anything that like you could have just shuffled him down. Honestly, if they would have talked to him and engaged him and just walked down with him, he probably would have kept walking down with them because he would have gotten, whatever he was after. And like, but he's not down there. He's not going to scream Karen Reed is guilty. He's not going to scream free Karen Reed. He's not trying to do signs or anything like that. Like whatever. And there was somebody with a flag, obviously, like right there, which I'm presuming was in the buffer zone as well because it was right across the street. Like arguably they're breaking the buffer zone rule more than he was. He wasn't protesting, carrying anything, chanting anything, didn't have any insignia. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I thought he got dicked, but I do think he probably could have just walked down a little bit more. Like, whatever. I don't like. And definitely don't think he should be in jail with no bail right now, especially not before Tom CPU.
No.
I think you're spot on. They should have given him more time, but he didn't just get grabbed out of nowhere. He was doing the whole bullshit thing. But yeah, you're right.
Don't get me wrong. I fucking love Bao. Bao is a true American. He's an agent of chaos, and I love him. Free Bao.
Fair.
Hey, we know the First Amendment auditor like behavior. It's okay, I'll comply, but let me ask you a question first, and they will try just to poke the line as much until the cops.
Yeah, but you know what? I gotta say something about the. I gotta say.
We know how they operate.
Yeah, but you know what?
He appeared to be in motion though. He was walking.
Yeah, he was walking. That's what I mean. And like, like really honestly, that's nothing. Like that's where like the discretion has to come in. Like at least they're not fucking with a fucking murder trial. And like, I mean, this mob justice shit. Like the auditors, whatever. At this point, like, especially if they're fucking with cops, I just don't care. I think it's fair game. It keeps them on their toes. Like whatever. Like don't go, full Josh Abrams and start calling them pigs. But Bao doesn't do that anymore. I don't think he's done that in a long time. Like he was not bothering anyone. And again,
that was fucking funny.
Like Tom CPU.
Yeah, he's not nasty with it. He's just, if anything, he's sort of making jokes and without them realizing.
I would be charmed. If I was a cop and I ran into Bao, I would be charmed. But if you think back to the first days of the buffer zone, Tom CPU walked his ass in there and then argued with them for a minute whether or not he was media, and they didn't arrest his ass. So what the fuck?
Yep, completely agree.
Well, what? I don't know if anybody knows the lore. about why Tom was separated from the rest of the people and FKR looking all lonely?
It could also
I
be
don't
that
know.
it's first day of trial. They've just stepped up their threshold for arresting.
Did he tell them that he liked their shiny boots by any chance?
So, do you know who Tom CPU reminds me of? Like exactly is the fucking creepy guy from Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
That Shooter McGavin just totally
yeah.
distances himself from
I was
immediately.
gonna say Jerry Lewis.
Want to go to Red Lobster?
He's Tom CPU is every creepy guy I've ever seen rolled into one. He's hideous. Is all I'm saying.
I think what bothers me the most about Tom CPU, I mean, aside from just being a grifting sack of shit, that's number one. Number two is that he had to go somewhere consciously, sit down in a barber's chair or, at a hair place and just sit down and have the nerve to ask somebody to cut his fucking hair like that and then pay them money. Just saying.
That's the hairdresser's revenge, my
I
friend.
do want to just say
for
for the
having to
record,
cut his hair.
too, just so we're all clear, and I'm going to take ownership of this. I offered to bail Bao out. I mean, I don't know that he would have needed it or taken it or what, but because I do have a soft spot for some of these, especially because he really wasn't fucking doing anything wrong. I've seen things now. I used to think that First Amendment
Great
auditing
job,
was
Kate,
the
with
most.
Kevin today, as usual.
Oh, thank you. I used to think that First Amendment auditing was just repugnant and terrible and what the fuck, why do you have to be such a dick to people for no reason? And then I took a deep look into the true crime community, particularly around Karen Reed. And I've realized what evil truly is.
Yeah.
So you've changed your opinion, Kate's, since we talked last? You've changed?
Well, I you know what? It depends when we talked last 10th. I honestly, I will be
That was
honest,
a
I don't
long time ago.
remember.
Tremendous amount of respect to hear you say that. To hear you say that.
Shit, or you're not the biggest piece of shit. At least that's what I was reading from that.
Yeah,
that's awesome, Kate.
That's right after that too.
Is it?
Congratulations.
I mean,
She now doesn't view you as a scum of the earth.
No, I mean, I don't even think my opinion has evolved over time though, because the reason that I was disclaimering saying I offered to bail Bao out is because I bailed Broken System, Broken Trust out once,
Oh God,
and they were all very upset with me about that. I did
That
it.
went well, didn't
I
it?
did it number one to piss
that
off
went
Chili,
really well.
and number two because the kid was on drugs at the time. Whether or not he wants to admit it, everybody knew that he was, right? And I just think that if you're on drugs, getting picked up on a petty charge and having to detox in jail over the weekend is probably putting your life at risk when you get out and decide you want to get high on Monday morning. And I don't think that really helps people. I'm kind of against that.
Boy, if we could just go back to those days, right?
But you know what? I wouldn't do it again just because he got bailed out and then immediately went back to running on warrant. It was a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Just not really helping him out.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
He was a really ungrateful piece of shit. So
it was a strategic move. I'll just say that much.
Yeah.
I don't have
is
any
different.
awareness of this matter outside of the very well done summation of facts that Kate gave. So, admittedly, I'm coming in here, a little naive other than what I've just learned. But what I'm kind of hearing from this is, might this guy have a selective enforcement defense if other individuals who are similarly situated were there and he was targeted for some reason? I mean, to me, that's what I would immediately kind of think of.
Ooh, that's good.
That's a good question.
I mean, maybe, but that's going to be kind of a hard case to make because you really have to look pretty hard at exactly where everybody was, where the borders were, if anyone else was talked to. I mean, yeah, theoretically, but that's going to be tough.
If it's
Isn't
the
it
same
tough
cops
enough
every day,
filming
too.
that though?
I just think it was a dick. I'll say this much: if anybody else steps over the line, as mildly or worse than Bao does, they better get arrested immediately. Or I'm gonna be upset because, he's not. Did you guys see that Michael Picard was down there too today? I haven't actually watched it yet. Did you
I
get
just
to watch
watched
it?
a bit of. Okay. It's Tom Speed being Tom Speed. I mean, it sucks. You can't hear shit because you can't figure out how to live stream. But you do catch little bits, and I'm waiting for Picard to put out his own clips because you couldn't hear much.
Were they upset at least?
Yes, very. And
Okay.
Tom was very upset. He was saying shit about like, oh, they're here to make us look bad, and it's like, no, you make you look bad. You use dildo salesman. Like everything you do is weird, and you're gonna say that fucking Picard's make you guys look odd? Like, no, man, no.
I like
Color of
how
a petri dish. You make you look odd.
Picard comes around and he just says the quiet part out loud for these people is what he does with everywhere that he goes, and like, across the board. So the fact that they showed up with treat Karen right, she's white signs
Yeah.
was just because that's what it boils down to, right? She's a rich, semi-attractive white lady. That's the only reason that anyone, like, I just can't imagine like a normal, not like a normal person, but like a, disenfranchised, less attractive, less white person coming up with these ridiculous stories and everybody buying it. Like,
I think
it
that
wouldn't happen.
treat her right, she's white and all that shit's funny, but I think it's more personally, I think it's more of a deal with her money and her influence, and you know what I mean. Like I'm not sold that it's a white thing, but it's definitely a rich thing, in my opinion. Like she wouldn't be getting away with, wouldn't be able to buy the machine to push the story. She wouldn't be able to afford that, so we wouldn't even be here.
I look at it as like a point system, right? Like everybody has like your privilege points, right? And so like not one thing is going to guarantee you unilateral privilege, but you can start to stack them, right? So like, wealth, area code, race, sex, education level, all that, you kind of put that together and it creates more and more privilege for you. So she has a lot of that going for her, right? She's a lot of privilege points.
Yeah, she's hired an echo chamber that's getting paid, independently. Like her proxies are getting cash. Like that's not cheap.
Can we just admit that she's astroturfing now, by the way? Because they have like 15 people there since the money ran out.
I think so. I think it's a natural drop off too, because like season 1 they were promised FBI intervention, and then it wouldn't go to trial, and this isn't the ending that the fans of the conspiracy narrative it was promised. So I think there's a natural drop off, but the amount that dropped off, it lends to astroturfing. I think so. Now I do anyway. Yeah. Remember when they got called out on their signs being made at the same place? That was early, right?
Yep.
And they're like, well, yeah, because it's cheaper that way. It's like, well, nice defense, man, but I don't know any organic movements that start off day one off the rip with uniformed signs. That seemed a little advanced for something grassroots.
Especially with the quality of the supporters.
Yeah. And then some of the supporters that just didn't look like the same crew of people that stuck around, like the core followers and whatnot. Like they were there for a couple showings and they were gone. I don't know. They didn't look like they belonged in there in the same mix, like out of town or something.
Right, but they really went too far with the whole let's just interview with everybody thing. Like I could see this becoming a recurrent pattern where they spend a lot of time trying to discredit a witness and about a piece of evidence, and then Hank just comes up behind them with a clip where Karen just admits to it afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of opposite the first trial, because the first trial, Lally was playing catch up the whole time. He was trying to disprove a conspiracy. And this one, it seems like they're trying really hard to prove it. And Brennan's just like, here's this.
Yeah, Lally was like preemptively in a defensive position, which confused a lot of onlookers, people that weren't even dialed into the particulars of the case. It just the way it was, it came across. It was like, why is the prosecution seem so damn defensive off the rip?
That was a risky decision.
It was.
And in hindsight, we can say that it didn't work out well, but
Yeah,
I
I get
am a
why he
person
did
who
it.
gives Lally the credit that I think he deserves because, you know, he took that strategy head on, and yeah, he made a risk that didn't pay off, but he still like knew what the defense was going to do and tried to fend it off preemptively.
Yeah.
You're
No,
right.
I don't fault him for it, but yeah, like you said, hindsight, right? It's 2020. I mean, it's easier to look back on it now, but yeah, no, I don't begrudge him for it, not at all.
What did you
The
think
circus he
about?
was dealing with.
What did you think about? Did you catch opening statements at all today?
Yeah, I did. I set my alarm, man. I woke up early.
I know you did. I was
Yeah.
asking Paul.
Oh, that's
I
right.
know because
Yeah.
I was
you were
baked, all right? Full
problem.
disclosure. Sorry.
I thought I did like Brennan's opening. I thought Jackson, was it Yannetti who delivered the opening last trial?
Yes.
I thought Jackson seemed more unhinged than he normally does in the opening. My whole takeaway from today is that the defense seemed desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Most...
Did you, Paul? Sorry, did you catch Karen Reed? She was live streaming. Was it last night? I don't know if you saw that. But
I didn't see any of the live stream itself, but I saw clips posted this morning about Jackson apparently violating the gag order.
Right. Actually, that's something, Kate, if you could fill in on that. I just heard about that.
I just saw a clip of him talking in front of a crowd, and they're claiming that was from last night. To be fair, I don't know. At first, I was like, "Holy shit!" and then I thought about it and was like, "I don't actually know what night that's from." I think that my jaw dropped when Jackson was like, "There are eyewitnesses and forensics that'll put him in that house," because
oh man, yeah,
there's not.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Why would you say that though? Why would you ever say that? I mean, because there's not.
No.
Maybe he's thinking, the Commonwealth has such a good, and they made good use of it too. They had such a strong position for their opening, and they really did take it. That maybe he's just writing checks he knows he can't cash with the expectation that he can just confuse the jury enough that he won't be called on it to try and take some of the wind out of the Commonwealth's sails. Just to be like, whoa, they say they have evidence. We have a ton of evidence. You're going to see it. And then just hope that they can bullshit their way through it.
It's so much evidence. It's so good too.
The only
I hear you.
The only forensic evidence they've ever been able to produce is Apple Health data that does not place him in the house. And I mean, the only eyewitness technically would be Karen, but she's changed that story 5 times. So, and she's the defendant.
Yeah. I thought she came up with a lot of nervous energy on that live stream last night, and something
Jerry.
You said there, Paul, that you figured Jackson.
I think I realized he was he at the beach? Yeah. So I'm trying to get it. Oh, shit. Move this.
Yeah, I figured that Jackson was unhinged for sure. I found him to be more worked up. So was Karen last night. I think the whole team is under pressure. I think they're all kind of.
I mean, assuredly they are. They're having to deal with Hank Brennan now, who's taking a direct approach to the prosecution, which, again, learning and stepping on the shoulders that Lally put forward in the first trial. Brennan's obviously just going for pile on the evidence to demonstrate that she did it first and foremost, and then be prepared to rebut every single thing that the defense is going to put up. And he really threw the cross-examination of that first responder right back in Jackson's face with that clip. That was really profound. Karen herself admitting, I said that I hit him, but it's just a question of how many times did I really say that? Oh my God, that was
The once is
That was not a
enough.
good look.
That was not
And I
good
mean,
for
there's
Jackson.
and
Why
there's so
did
much
he
more
even do
footage
that?
that he has. Hmm?
I just don't even understand why. I mean, presumably they had to know that was coming, right? So
You would think.
Yeah.
They
But
knew
I
that
think
she said it.
somebody else was saying Brennan listed every single first responder on the potential witness list, which is to be expected, but then only actually called one of them. So perhaps the defense, despite all of their manpower between however many attorneys they actually have now and however many law students are donating their time, they just couldn't prepare for every eventuality. And, you know, Jackson, he clearly demonstrated with that cross that he was, again, I would call it desperately trying to nitpick the guy on every single word that he used, every single statement that he made, like just picking it apart, almost letter by letter, trying to get him to trip up and make it seem like he didn't know what he was talking about. But he was succinct. He seemed sure of the answers that he gave. I mean,
I gotta
today was
imagine.
not good
No,
for the
I gotta imagine what
defense.
it'd be like to be a juror, right? And watch the defense attorney, like the way Jackson was with the witness, badgering. I don't even know what's badgering. I want to put that up there. I watch too much TV, but like being aggressive, right, with this witness, I'd be thinking like, isn't it? What kind of commentary is this? You're arguing over how many times she said she did it, right? Like that's what you're gonna split hairs on. Was it twice or 3 times? Not once or twice, but twice or 3 times. Right? As a juror, I might be thinking, holy shit, this is what you're going to be fighting for. Wow. Okay. How guilty is she? Guilty or super guilty? Like, come on. Like that was weird. That was a weird move.
right, and I mean, it's
Yeah,
all just to
desperate for sure.
it's all just to pick apart. I mean, and cast doubt on whether or not he actually heard her say it. But then, right afterwards, Hank's like, "Oh,
She's
by
been
the way,"
recorded,
and
though.
well, no,
Like, she's been recorded on, like, it's on video of her saying she said it. It's dumb. It's a stupid argument.
Well, that's why they don't have to call any more first responders either. I think he probably picked the one that he felt would hold up the best, right? And like that was that. He doesn't need to call any more of them because it's no longer, you don't need 4 people to say that she said I hit him anymore because she says that she did. So there you go.
And you're also taking away more ammunition from the defense by only calling one person. You get their testimony on the record, and then fewer people are simply less statements that the defense can use to try and poke holes in the testimony and point out inconsistencies between people, which you're inevitably going to have. 3 people witnessing the same event are going to have 3 slightly different stories, even if they're all telling largely the same picture.
Right.
And we need. Oh, sorry. We need to have somebody come in though. We do need another first responder or one of the witnesses, like Jen McCabe, to come in and testify to the hardness of the ground. Because remember, there was that pretrial motion where they said that the guy, the expert couldn't testify to that. But Brennan said, I'll have a layperson do it. And that is proper layperson testimony. So we can probably anticipate that somebody will be coming in, another first responder, to testify to that, because that will be key to showing the head injury that the ground was hard as a rock. So I think we can anticipate that.
I thought that he was allowed to testify without any restrictions.
I might be wrong. If somebody else can chime in, I thought he couldn't testify to the hardness of the ground and something about an injury, but I may be incorrect.
Yeah,
on that.
I thought there was some.
Clarify that stipulation.
I thought there was some restriction.
Yeah, that's the word.
For the meteorologist?
Not the neurologist.
No, the meteorologist.
The meteorologist.
Yeah, the meteorologist.
Was there? Hold on.
I don't think the judge specifically forbid it. I think that when she asked Brennan if he was intending on asking that question, he said, I just won't ask that question then.
I believe he said, oh, I can have any layperson come in and testify to that. It's not necessary that my expert does.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I hope they're not just keeping like 4 sort of first responders, you know, on sort of in the back sequestered, just in case they want to call them that day when they could be out on the road actually saving people's lives.
Hey, Kate, check your messages real quick.
Oh, perfect.
And also, not for nothing, I know a few of them, weren't they harassed pretty brutally after their testimonies?
That may open a door.
No.
Who on earth would harass them? Why would they be
Yeah,
harassed?
right. I
It's so
wonder.
odd. How was
Yeah,
harassment
no
being
doubt.
part of this case? How bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, it's that just seems so odd.
I also saw somebody speculating that, or maybe it was you, Kate, mentioning that potential cross-examination for Carrie Roberts might include emails with the district attorney that could have to do with the alleged reluctance of some witnesses to testify, undoubtedly because of the rampant witness intimidation.
Yeah.
Rampant is such a great word to describe that.
Yeah, I can't think about, honestly, what else it could possibly be that they think they're going to get this big gotcha on Carrie Roberts. Again, though, it's like, are they going to be that stupid?
Well, I think they're, all they need is one person. They're aiming here for a mistrial. They just need one not guilty vote.
Yeah, I don't see Karen ever getting an acquittal. At most,
Never.
she could hope for one person genuinely withholding a guilty verdict because they have qualms about it, or because of obfuscation, or one of the FKR sycophants actually made it onto the jury, which
Exactly.
you can only do so much to prevent, short of mind reading or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
again, I think the defense is desperate. They're throwing out Hail Marys. I agree that Jackson seems to be writing checks that he knows he can't cash, like the alleged eyewitness of John going into the house. I almost wonder if who was it who testified in the first trial that they saw somebody who was taller in the house, but they didn't see their face?
Yeah, it was. He said it was a tall, dark-haired man. It was Brian Higgins, but he knew John. So if it was John, he would just say, "I saw John." I suspect it was probably Brian Albert Jr. because he's
I
actually
mean, maybe that's the angle that they're going to go for,
Yeah.
to say, like, oh, see, they saw somebody whose face they didn't see, but that could have been John, so therefore it's an eyewitness putting him in the house. I mean, maybe they're that desperate.
No.
I think the
thought they,
eyewitness is
like-
Karen. I think it's Karen, honestly.
I thought they agreed, though, that
It's not
You
going to be
know,
eyewitness
even, like-
testimony unless she takes the stand.
Mm-hmm.
True.
I thought they agreed by tracking his phone, though, that he didn't go anywhere near the house.
Yes, his GPS does not place him in the house. What they've done
Right.
so far is they've offered up some Apple Health data that allegedly shows that he went up and down 3 flights of stairs. They can't determine whether it was up, down, or a combination of the two, and they're claiming that places him in the house, but it doesn't, right? But his GPS shows that he, got to the spot where he was found and then didn't move again until they found him.
Right. So how did he go? What? How does it show he went upstairs? What are
It
they on
shows-
about with that then?
Ascending and descending, but I mean, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be him physically walking
Yeah, but that
upstairs.
could have
It
been.
said it could be a vehicle, and yeah.
Could that not have been his arm rapidly moving when he was brutally hit by a car?
Well, no, it would. So the GPS shows that when he is supposedly ascending and descending the stairs, he's actually like a block or two away. I think what happened most likely is that she was driving really slow, trying to find where they were going, and that his Google Health Apple Health just picked up like the elevation changes and the slow pace of the vehicle as ascending and descending stairs.
Is it a hilly area?
Yeah, kind of. And there was also
Oh.
a blizzard too. So there's yeah.
Yeah, that could be an issue.
Just for instance, like my Google app will automatically detect that I'm on a bicycle based on my speed, and automatically determine when I'm walking based on my speed.
Right.
That is an unreasonable level to listen to John Mayer.
That's a good point.
It is.
Well, back in the day, I know with dealing with things like pedometers, you can actually fool the device into thinking these things because, we were all working at the YMCA and they wanted us to do 10,000 steps. But if you sat there and just shook it, it would register steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've got a friend who was a lad friend who would play with himself into oblivion to get to his 10,000 steps.
When I get behind on my steps, I just throw my Fitbit in the dryer.
Wait, did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, those are some mighty pulls if you're trying. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
He'd be like,
enthusiastic.
right, here we go.
Goddamn.
He was quite the wanker.
I mean, at that point, you're getting just as much exercise. Jesus Christ.
That's Olympic
yeah.
magnitude.
It was exhausting for the poor guy. It really was. Anyway, that
probably
isn't the
be easier
point.
to just walk.
I apologize for lowering the tone.
Yeah, it'd probably be easy.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know I showed up a little late there, Kate, but if it's not too off topic, I know you probably covered it, the deletions of text messages by
Yeah.
Jackson.
What are your thoughts?
I didn't fully get all the particulars on that. I was grabbing clips and stuff, so I missed some things that I definitely missed.
Yeah, so they're still fighting to get reciprocal discovery for Arca, and they're pushing and pushing and pushing. And I guess what I'm piecing together from what Hank said is that they watched the on-air footage from the documentary, and something in there indicated that there would be texts and emails between Arca and pretty much everyone on the team, including Karen. So they went back and were like, hey, give us those texts. And they gave back like a list of like dates and times for the text. And we're like, whoops, we don't have them anymore. And Hank's like, what do you mean you don't have them anymore?
Oh, wow.
Shucks, they got auto-deleted.
Oh, that's totally what innocent people do all
I
the
wonder
time.
what
Holy
their
shit.
Celebrate data would say.
Yeah, right? Holy hell. That's fucking crazy. Oh, man.
Spoliation of evidence.
I mean, think about all the shit they've lied about in the past.
Dude, yeah.
Like, Kanone was talking about this being a likely second violation of their duty of candor to the court. It's the
Holy
defense
shit.
team is the conspiracy.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So Paul Kanone actually she weighed in on this. There was holy shit. I didn't know.
Oh,
that.
yeah, she called him out directly.
After testimony ended for the day, there was a bit of a motion hearing where they were talking about Brennan's motion to compel discovery from Arca, and he explained the basis for his knowledge of these texts, what he actually got from the defense, and what he didn't get. And Alessi said the messages had been deleted, as though that was just some nonchalant thing, even though they were less than 2 years old. Kanone pointed out the ethical obligation to keep case information for 5 or 7 years, depending on the circumstances, as part of their duties as attorneys. And they evidently didn't do that. So now she's conducting a hearing on Friday to voir dire Arca and demanding that they bring this documentation that Brennan still hasn't been presented with. So that's probably another reason that the defense seemed desperate today, is they are up shit creek without a paddle with this Arca situation.
That's something I mentioned earlier. Do you think, Paul? Do you think there's any possibility that any of the defense attorneys get sanctioned or have any other repercussions based on the fact that Cannoni has now twice said you're not acting in good faith?
Wow.
I would
They should, though.
expect so.
They should.
I mean, I'm sure after this, Cannoni would refer Jackson to the disciplinary committee in California for the conduct that he's put on in her trial.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, those people coming in on Pro Health Vichy and they're coming in and they're lying to the court is not once but twice that's got to be some kind of sanctionable behavior. Like, that's ridiculous. Why are they accepting that? Really, it's bizarre.
I mean, I don't know this much about this particular topic, but I would have to imagine potentially it would have to do with prejudicing Karen's defense to do too much to them during the trial. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but at the same time, there has to be a balancing. Like, you can't just blatantly violate ethical rules and then be like, oh, it'd be really prejudicial if you were to actually punish me for these, so you can't.
Yeah. That's why I'm hoping something happens at least after the fact.
Well, it's gotta happen. Because if it didn't happen, as we go along, then it's gonna be like, well, surely they can just, oh well, we're not getting punished for it, so fuck it, we'll do whatever we want. And then, it doesn't matter if she sanctions us afterwards. We don't actually practice law here anyway. Off we go. And Karen may get away with a lot more. That just seems like a crazy way of doing it.
Yeah, but at the same time, they may just be, this may be part of the Hail Mary. Like, if we can just get her, I mean, they almost have to be saying, if we can get her another hung jury, maybe the Commonwealth will just get trial fatigue and not try her a third time. That seems contrary to what the Commonwealth has indicated. They seem like they're going to take this all the way until they get a conviction.
Oh, yeah.
But if they just think, like, if we can just get the mistrial, if we can just continue this process, we're going to keep her out of jail, and whatever consequences come along, we'll just deal with that later. But, God, I would be a hell of a lot more frightened if I were Jackson.
They've already made her look super guilty, though, by doing this.
Well, she's made herself look super guilty with all of her statements and all the other shit that they've been doing.
And the fact that she actually did it.
That too. But God, think about all the lies.
Murder.
We know who did it, Steve.
Yep.
Oh, we don't know who did it, and it's not for us to determine that. Jackson lying about Arca. Alessi lying about Arca apparently a second time today. Turtle Boy saying, I never spoke with Karen, to they had 189 calls together. Turtle Boy saying, I'm going to be the best witness for Karen ever, and I'm going to destroy Hank Brennan on the stand, to Aiden pleading the fifth in court. Like,
yes.
The number of lies that they told, and that they have the gall to accuse the Commonwealth of lying and all of the witnesses of lying. The people who haven't pled the fifth, the people who have testified before state and federal grand juries. They've testified in one trial, and they're starting to testify in a second trial now. Like, they are literally doing confession through projection. They're accusing everybody else of what they are actually doing, conspiring and lying and all that other shit.
It really is nonsense.
I know, and it's like, obviously a lot of this is not probably ever going to make it in front of the jury, like whatever. But as far as the general public goes, how are there people still bought into this? Like, I mean, the repeat lies over and over and over again, and this shady, unethical behavior. How could you look at this and be like, yep, totally factually innocent woman? Like, it's crazy.
It's
Well, that's why.
for some of the grunt work people on the very bottom floor, it's got to be the sunk cost fallacy. They were so heavily invested in it at the beginning that now the individual pillars of the FKR movement are being kicked out from underneath them, and they still refuse to acknowledge the truth. Like, it's cognitive dissonance that they just can't break themselves out of.
I hate to
But
say
it's
it all
like
comes back from
anybody.
Turtle Boy.
Yeah, it's anybody who believes Turtle Boy. How can anybody even believe a word of truth that comes out of that guy's mouth?
But what I'm saying, he had those 3 months. I have people that I live, close by, and they repeat the same things. Those 4 months from April to September of 2023 is still ingrained in a lot of people I used to have respect for. It's very difficult to get through to them. That's how an effective propagandist can do to people.
No, he did really stir things up, and as hilarious as we found it, with some of those conspiracy theories, yeah, he ruined people's lives.
He has.
with that.
And he's cocky about it. He's arrogant about it. And he writes like that, and he gets through to these people. And I don't think you'll ever convince them, based on what he wrote, that she's guilty, unfortunately.
It's crazy to me because she.
But I think Kate and Kevin do a great job. That's why I want to come on, Kate. I don't know you, but I've seen you and I hear you with Kevin a lot, and you do a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. I particularly enjoyed Kevin's critiques of Aiden's writing the other days, where he's like, Aiden, you should get yourself an editor because this is bad.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize what a tiny little man he is. He looks like the lollipop kid from The Wizard of Oz.
He's got a lot of people really caught up. It's just like, I mean, she pretty much admits that she's done this, right? Like, I mean, I can't get over how detailed she's been when she's been like, I thought I could have clipped him. Like, she's laying out the prosecution's entire theory of their case as her first thought that morning. Like, I mean, that's a confession. Jesus Christ.
But
after Aiden made that statement about like Karen's position as of right now is, I was convinced they were going to shift over and just say the investigation is bad and therefore you have to acquit her, even though, yeah, she may have done this, but they're still running with the conspiracy apparently.
I'm hoping that new data, Kate, I know there was no GPS, which is disappointing, but if that expert agrees with Hank that 24-mile-hour happened at 12:32, he has to agree to it based on the new data, then it's over with that GPS. I mean, don't you agree that if she went back at 12:32, just like they said in the first trial, it's now confirmed, none of these key cycle bullshit that they try to say it wasn't at 12:32. If he agrees that happened at 12:32, there's nothing he can do but agree with it, then I think that's game over.
He seems to pretty much know what happened, or at least he's presenting that they seem to know what happened minute by minute. So I think it's pretty well. And then, of course, they have the gift of Karen Reed's own words on top of it, like where she just agrees to most of it. Like the whole taillight thing, she was telling all of them about how broken the taillight is. When they get to the part where they have to prove that it was because she backed into John's Traverse, like that's never going to happen. Even the ARCA experts were like, yeah, no, that wouldn't happen at that speed. Like it's impossible.
But if they can't say key cycles, because if I hear that one more time, I'm going to go crazy. And if the defense guy says, yeah, we went down in Texas in December and, that happened. That happened. I cannot, say that 2 + 2 isn't 4.
Kevin, are you with us? You're off Vinny early, huh?
So
anyway,
I
Kate,
think.
thanks for the invite. I think you do a great job. Keep up the good work. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Later, man.
So, circling back to how these witnesses have been treated, I think they have obviously potential legal claims for like defamation in a civil arena, maybe malicious prosecution. I think that actually was applicable here. They were maliciously prosecuted with no proof. There were no charges ever initiated at a federal level. And I think they could potentially, have an action there. And something that this case really reminds me of, because we were talking about the evidence, is in a way the Murdoch case, when the victim speaks, from the grave via technology, with this car data and the cell phone data. And I don't know, it's a similarity that popped out to me.
So the only thing about the federal is that no one was ever prosecuted.
Right.
And they were all called in as witnesses. So at no point were they targeted or anything. I don't know if they would ever. I don't know how they would sue the federal government or anyone that I don't know who would take up that.
I think it would be Karen, but I'm not sure. It would be the people who initiated the action without having enough proof, and it was done for an improper purpose. And I'm not very familiar with initiating those actions, so disclaimer. But it does, it does seem like it fits where it could fit the elements of it.
I mean, at this point, I think the federal investigation works more in the favor of all of the witnesses and the prosecution because it ended with nothing. Just like the Canton police audit that all of the FKR people were demanding, and now they're pissed that it didn't find the corruption they expected it to. I mean,
honestly, I think they knew that there was no corruption, and I think that they used this as a Trojan horse to get evidence that they normally wouldn't get in a state level, like all the phone stuff. I think they knew that right off the rip.
Well, the audit was definitely just a PR stunt, right? She got all these people, and honestly, she should pay the town of Canton their money back, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that woman should be fined for every penny she bloody well got. Before they lock her up and throw away the key, frankly.
That's the thing. She's probably pretty judgment-proof at this point. What money does she have left, really?
So, Kate, you bring up a good point, right? What money does she have left? She's claiming she has none, and she's living off donations. So why isn't she? I don't believe she's ever been claimed or tried to do an affidavit for indigency for costs in the litigation. And that just, to me, it's okay, so you're saying that you don't have any money and yet you haven't filed an affidavit of indigency in your crowdfunding. It doesn't add up. And I think that, honestly, someone brought this up before about, the money, follow the money. And I think that's a big thing here. Follow the money. Where's the money going to? And will she get into trouble in the future? Could she possibly get into trouble in the future with all this crowdfunding and the accounting of it? Who knows? I mean, big names have been taken down when they follow the money.
Wasn't she living in a hotel, though?
I mean, when Karen says she has no money, that's colloquial. She is still living in style, the high life, off of the backs of the donors. It is a genuine question of how much of the crowdfunding money is actually going towards any legal-related expenses, be they experts, be it additional fees for attorneys, because to my knowledge, Jackson and Yannetti have been paid a substantial sum from other sources that Karen had prior to all the crowdfunding. I don't know if they're actually drawing any more legal fees out of her if their case was on not a contingency basis, but on a flat fee. So who actually knows? They do seem like they've definitely hit a stall point in reaching the $2 million they were expecting to. They can't seem to break $1 million.
I wonder if they're deferring fees. I think she is quite savvy, and she's been able to get a lot of free labor out of this. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the experts are not really getting paid.
Hank will get
Am I right in
I feel much
thinking
better.
of that?
Except for Arca.
I thought
Apparently they got paid.
Sent to prison where she belongs.
Oh, sorry. Am I right in thinking that she was living out of a hotel? And the donations were paying for that?
She is. She's at the Residence Seaport.
Well, it's
Right.
funny because somebody brought up before in chat, and I thought it was brilliant that they couldn't get Al Capone on, his other charges, but they ended up getting him on tax evasion. So when they say the feds are coming, or they were saying that, it's really ironic that, who knows, maybe they will be coming, for you.
That would be quite hilarious if the feds did come, but for the defense team instead of the prosecution and all the witnesses.
Yeah.
Not to mention all those lotteries for seats and stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, the Roccos were apparently advised by an attorney that they could be engaging in financial crimes, and they still decided to go forward with
Interesting.
that stuff.
Yeah, that just blows my mind. Every time that a new Rocco dump of messages comes my way and I'm reading through it, I'm like, they gotta be two of the stupidest people. I mean, not just stupid, but like they have absolutely no integrity. Because so many times now have I seen messages where they're indicating that they're aware that they are involved in criminal activity and their only concern is like, well, we gotta cover it up. Or, they probably won't come after us for, come after us for it that soon anyway, or, whatever. Like, they have bigger things to worry about. Like, no, I mean, eventually they're gonna come for these people. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, in their own words, this guy is extorting us with dirt on Karen that he apparently has, but let's just continue to be his best friend and come to his defense.
Something that just blows.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you didn't interrupt me. It's fine. It's hard on these chats to like chime in at the right time. I feel so intrusive. But something that I was like, keeping in mind here is don't jump a puddle for someone who won't, don't swim oceans for someone who won't jump a puddle for you. We've all seen it on social media years ago, that saying, but it really stuck with me and I try to use it. And it's just amazing to me that so many people are sticking their necks out for Karen and they have nothing to gain from this except for what they might think is fame, but it's going to end up, and it's already turning that way, to be notoriety.
Well, in Aiden's case, he literally can't, or just chooses not to see the difference between good and bad publicity. He will be famous or infamous at any cost, and it doesn't seem to matter to him which.
Penny wise and pound foolish.
Exactly. Exactly.
Melissa is just, Melanie, sorry, just put in chat that it's $400 a night at the Seaport Residence Inn. Like,
yeah, why can't she just stay at her
that
parents'
just
house
seems
and commute? I don't understand this. If you are really so hard up that you can't afford your legal fees without asking for help from strangers, stay at your parents' house and drive into that court with them, or stay at the Holiday Inn even. Like, I don't know, why do we need to stay at these premier hotels and go to all these really nice restaurants and get the Botox and get the lip fillers and the hair extensions and the, super expensive wardrobe? Like, I mean, it's ridiculous at some point.
I mean, I think part of it is it's almost fueling itself to some degree, because she probably feels like she has to do all of those things to look like she's high and mighty and that she's this darling person who's used to a lavish lifestyle. And oh my gosh, how could they be trying to charge her like a common person? But I mean, it just, I have to think that comes across as disingenuous to most people.
It seems
horrible, actually.
It seems to me like when you look at a lot of these male influencers that are like, oh, I'm an alpha male and shit, like they're renting supercars and shit to look like they're what they claim to be. I think a lot of her followers probably wouldn't be as interested in her if she wasn't pretending to be that person.
To be fair, it does make more financial sense to actually lease a vehicle than actually buy one outright when you sort of work it out in business. And it doesn't matter, right? But yeah, I know what you mean. It's like to have the goal to say to people to hand over like these, and a lot of these the free Karen Read guys that you see in front of that I've seen in front the court don't look like they've got two pennies to rub together, but she's asking them to hand over whatever they have, and they're giving it willingly for her to then be sat in a $400 a night hotel room. Frankly, it makes me feel a little sick.
I've seen at least one person who described she was on a fixed income and she was describing like, oh, I'll just eat a little less this week because I need to donate money to Karen's cause. Like, this is ghoulish, predatory behavior on Karen's part, and all to avoid responsibility for something that she very demonstrably did.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that her brother got into some really hot water in COVID time because he was taking money from his job to the tune of, I think, like $20K.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
And her brother was, pandering to the chain smoking guy with the bad teeth, the glare. That, we need your support right more now than ever, and he was doing damage control right after they did the fundraiser down in Fall River. If you guys remember, that a lot of her close supporters got really butthurt over and kind of threw their hands up. Rita Lombardi being one of them, who took it straight up the ass that she wasn't on the VIP list to go to this closed event to fundraise. And then he has the nerve, after it came out that he was skimming money off the top of his work, to ask for more money. And that, to me, is something that stuck. Like, ooh, you're not the right person to be trusted with any sort of fundraising money.
Yeah.
I mean, Karen claims that she's being framed as an innocent woman, but they're literally trying to frame innocent witnesses for something they didn't do. They're accusing the quote-unquote McAlberts of being a crime family, while the Reeds are the ones with apparently criminal inclinations. I mean, it's more confession through projection.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's been a while, but didn't Turtle Boy get a nice new car out of the deal? Like, there's clearly some shady shit going on at like every level of that family.
Right. And they're just used to getting off easy, having enough money to, pay it away. But now they're in the spotlight, and it's getting really, really expensive.
When you are used to privilege, being treated the same as everybody else feels like oppression.
Yep. Yep.
Say that again.
Oh no, she's being treated like a normal person. Boo-hoo.
She hasn't even, though. That's the thing, is like, she considers this a persecution because she's getting slightly less good treatment. I mean, she really has had as far as prosecutions go, a pretty pleasant prosecution. She's always consistently walked into that courtroom and walked out. They've never even tried to revoke bail, even though, she really gets treated pretty well.
Right.
She's up with those sidebars.
Yep.
Sidebar, excuse me.
Considering, she's already admitted to actually murdering this guy, she hasn't had a tenth of the harassment as the witnesses and the family of the bereaved. It's
right. There's a special place in hell for somebody who harasses the mother of somebody who lost two of their children unexpectedly and a son-in-law. And then having to put those kids who lost a lot in their short lives through the depths of hell, and then sit and just scowl in the courtroom, and just because you're dragging, you're digging your heels in because you don't want to face the music. That's fucking evil.
What do you think about Mrs. O'Keefe testifying?
Oh, God. Every time I see her, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So I have some thoughts on that, actually. The defense, they better tread easily and carefully, because I mean, I'm just saying, like, if they come back on Cross and bring that video in of Karen mocking the mother, that will be devastating. And I think they should bring that in.
I think she's gonna fight with everything she's got
I
in
don't
her.
think they're even gonna cross her. Honestly, how can they?
You really think so?
I don't think they're gonna.
Well,
cross
no,
her.
I was going to say no. I mean, but I'm saying if they are bold enough to do so, they do so at their own peril.
I absolutely think they would, but again, out of that desperation, they probably think they have no other choice than to.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that they cross a witness like that, they're really risking opening the door to the harassment too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I was perplexed that they were even asking for documentation about alleged reluctance of witnesses to testify, because what is literally the only reason that the witnesses would have been reluctant to testify is the witness intimidation. So they're just going to get information and discovery that's like, hey, the witnesses felt intimidated and that's why they were reluctant to testify. That doesn't go the way that you think it would.
Right, that's like the opposite
Defense
of
team.
helpful.
All right.
I still can't get over. I think it was Aiden who was saying, like, Peggy, something incredibly ghoulish about Peggy having lost 2 kids already and Paul being the only one left, or something horrible. I mean, like, he thinks infamy and fame are the same thing, and he will get one regardless of the cost.
Attention. Yeah, attention.
Well, the guy's reprehensible. At the end of the day, like, I don't understand how he can be so heartless, callous, disgusting towards people who are victims of this crime. Like, regardless of whether Karen did it, they find Karen guilty or not, at the end of the day, the man is still dead and they are still the family of the deceased. They don't deserve grief. They don't deserve any extra nonsense from people. It's they deserve people's sympathy at the end of the day. They didn't kill him. They've got to deal with the aftermath.
So I'm seeing in the chat now that that
I mean,
Turtle.
it's
I can't stand the guy.
Yeah, I hate to say tame, but like honestly, this isn't even the worst thing he's done. This is the same dude that sent something tantamount to child porn of his own kids to try and frame someone.
Yeah.
Trust me, I already know.
Right, or issued horrific threats of rape and murder against his own children to try to get a restraining order on a guy, and threw in their pictures and home addresses just to add that to it, because why wouldn't you do that? Crazy. I'm seeing in the chat that people are saying that apparently he's saying they have something on Carrie Roberts. Like, there's nothing to have on Carrie Roberts. What the hell? Like, I can't.
Yeah, Turtle Boy talks out of his
Take it
ass.
till you make it. If you tell your sycophant cultish following that you have something that you don't actually have, then they'll just assume it's true.
Yeah, it's what I
It's
don't
yellow
get is
journalism.
Like, he has sat there and said to everybody that she's innocent, she's innocent, she's innocent, and then I seen another clip of him going, "Well, yeah, we all know she did it, but it's the principle of it, isn't it? So, free Karen Reid, and it's like."
Every time that he
What
says
the-
that,
what
when
is
he
wrong
says, like,
with you?
he's not saying it like that. Like, he has like Freudian slips where he'll like sometimes be like, "We all know she's guilty," and then he'll immediately correct himself and be like, "innocent." But like, I think deep down he knows. I think probably more like it's probably. I think he probably just knows that she did it at this point and is just married to it. Which again, like, I mean, the civil suits are gonna hit eventually, so I guess.
Yep.
Well, I mean, he has questioned it before that she was guilty, or like this wasn't adding up.
Right, but they
Out
came to
loud.
an arrangement, and that was it.
sorry about that. I don't want to say. How come you can't, like, for lack of a better term, cut the head off the snake here? Like, there has to be, I know there is some like code of ethics governing journalism. And if you get a press pass, I imagine it has to be subject to revocation pursuant to certain actions. And I feel like these actions are just like very severe, like having pictures of people and mocking them during the trial on your laptop. I mean, why and how? I mean, I don't know the process, but is there a process for removal of a press pass? There has to be.
I think you'd have to do something really, really egregious in court, like the disruption. I mean, I think it would be pretty tough because I think I was talking about this the other day, right? The sort of the principles of the free press. The government doesn't really intervene as far as distinguishing what is journalism and what is not. Like everybody can be the press, right? That's how a free press works. So I think, you know, they've denied him before, and it sounds like they denied him again this time. And then his lawyer went back and threatened to sue, and they were kind of hamstrung and had to give it to him. Once you have it, yeah, I think it's pretty hard to lose it.
Gotcha.
It was nice seeing all the security around him, though.
Yeah,
that was a good picture. I liked that.
Hey, Kate, did you guys hear his latest claim from his show? You guys are in here. You might not have heard it. He's now claiming witness intimidation. He's being witness intimidated.
By whom?
I knew he would do that. I called it. I knew as soon as he was added to that list, I said he's gonna try and say he was intimidated because he's a witness. I knew he was gonna do that.
Wait, who?
Well, you're right. He sure said it. He cited. Okay, so here's it. He cited that Jennifer. The FBI gal Jennifer. He cited her tweet that said, "Okay, so Facebook and who else booted him? Right, booted him off of Facebook." And then she's in the next line. All it said was, YouTube and Twitter, X, should probably do the same. And he highlighted that and said, that's witness intimidation. There it is, trying to get people to intimidate me, get me off and cut off my earnings and get rid of my money, my income. And so you'll be sued. You're next on the list. You're number 5.
Wait, if that's witness intimidation, what has he been doing to D&E Pizza this whole time?
Oh my God. Oh my
That's what it got.
Right.
That was the whole
How
context.
low his bar is.
So he goes on this rant about how you should intimidate witnesses. He says, I'm a witness. I'm like, no, you're not. You took the 5th. He says, and I'm a witness in another case. I'm like, no, you're a defendant.
Fucking moron.
Man, wasn't Brennan great for making them say it in court that he was taking the 5th?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
He was playing. He sounded
cringe-worthy television.
I can't believe his followers don't even see the hypocrisy. He's sitting there saying the same things like, they're coming after me. You know, they're intimidating. It was just a simple, all she said was, man, you know, YouTube and X should do the same. That's
No,
not,
they
that's,
should.
that's not an
Their platforms are being
intimidation.
used to commit crimes. If you go through his indictment, like, it's all his YouTube videos. So, like, I mean, yeah, YouTube should take him down. I agree. I've tweeted the same. I'm sure he'll try to throw another bullshit charge on me. But the fact of the matter is that he is using these platforms to intimidate witnesses. That is a crime and should not be permitted to do so.
Well, you're on the list now.
That's fine.
His-
I am the list.
The good news is he's taking them serially this time, like in serial, not parallel. So he's doing one at a time. He said he learned that from the last time, not to take on too much. So
Yeah.
you might have to wait. You might have to wait a little while. I don't know what the statute of limitations is, but
Kate has never not been on his list.
His list
right?
is literally just
He
him.
wakes up
he's
every
just-
day,
Right.
and the first thing he thinks of is Kate.
I'm telling you, his
The
entire
most
list
wicked.
is just him scribbling my name in crayon over and over again. That's what his fucking
And
list is.
screaming at
His
his
school
Him saying he's
shooter
going to add
Columbine.
people to his list doesn't sound Columbine-y at all. Either.
Right.
You guys, I
Sorry,
think
I shouldn't
though,
laugh at that.
I have
said
a different opinion on that. I don't think he should be removed from YouTube. And let him keep talking. I believe that it will toll the statute of limitations for anybody who may want to pursue legal action on him in the future. I say let him keep talking. This is all stuff that, you know what, he is literally digging his own grave here in the legal system, so to speak.
Well, he did add that the people he's previously sued didn't have any money. But now Jennifer, he says, I know you got money because you're ex-FBI, so you must have a pension. So I'll be getting that. I'm like, you're not going to get a pension even if you do.
No, he's not, because he will likely be incarcerated and then have civil judgments against him, and any potential money he could have will be taken by post-judgment discovery execution. I really believe that.
Well, I'm a bonehead idiot, but I don't think you can sue to get someone's pension. I don't. Maybe.
Right, just like until they die, like. Like
Jennifer Coffindaffer can just cut out the middleman and give her money directly to the O'Keefe family and all the witnesses, because that's who's going to get civil judgments against Aiden.
Oh, yeah.
Very likely.
Although, you know, a percentage of 0 is 0.
Colin Albert is a slam dunk. That's done. I mean, like, there is
Oh,
no
yeah.
evidence to support even bringing him up as a third party in a Bowden defense. Like, there is nothing there. Colin Albert, like, I mean, Aiden might as well just write a check right now, right? Like, I mean, come on.
I agree. I think
Yeah,
a
but
reasonable
that check's going to
person.
bounce.
Was that the youngest one, the young lad?
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
televised.
Who lost his college sponsorships and stuff.
Any reasonable person would be outraged at what happened to this young man. It's infuriating to a reasonable person. It shocks the conscience.
Yeah.
It's horrendous.
Yeah,
I
they
just-
were literally trying to frame innocent people while claiming to be framed by.
Yup.
Not that I would ever advocate for it in a million years, but I do not understand how he has not got his ass kicked.
Oh my God. I was saying that. I was like, this is the behavior of a guy who's just never been held accountable or gotten his ass kicked in his life
Yeah,
for the
never
shit he's
got
done.
punched in the face.
Right, exactly.
He got
Probably
very hardened in jail, where he was in the medical ward with recess and his iPad. You can't talk to him
Big
like
time.
that.
Yeah.
And then like, you know how long I spent in jail? Like, yeah. And then he's like, it changed me. Like, okay, bro. And you were in there writing about how you were an Eagle Scout. Okay.
That was wild as fuck. That was his like defiant moment of strength.
This, bro. I was an Eagle Scout. Like, yeah,
You
you
can't
go
break me, man. I can start a little fire with a twig and shit.
Motherfucker, man.
I don't know.
That was
Still
weird.
images of him weeping in the cop car seemed like they had broken him pretty badly.
It made me realize I love my mother.
Wasn't he like in solitary for a big chunk of that though? Because
Oh,
he was worried
he
there
was
was
in PC the
people
whole
in the
time.
jail that he pissed off. He was
No, it was
worried
because
about
he
getting
probably got in there and was like, I'm gonna kill myself.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I mean,
He was
I
he
had
was
heard this
suicidal.
before. I had heard this before from people that worked in the jail, but it was reiterated in a Discord server I'm in. Somebody else there like knew someone who worked in the jail and was like, yeah, in no uncertain terms. He cried the entire time. He begged to be in medical. He said that he was suicidal. Like, so I've heard that from a lot of different people and now just accept it as fact.
What a weak bitch.
I know.
What really irritates me is that
He was helping
I
all the
did
other
it for Karen. I went there for Karen, and it's like, no, you went there because
yeah.
you got a bit handsy with your ex, mate. You didn't go there for Karen, you little scumbag.
So Nathan,
Yeah, he
is
sounds. He tries to make it sound like he was being a martyr for free speech and for
Exactly.
Karen. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
some bullshit.
Like, you are
no,
not
it was
new and
domestic
Larry-
violence, you shithead.
I committed
it was
domestic violence
all
for
about
your
cheating on
freedom.
his wife.
So, Nathan, is he saying, what is he saying about Carrie Roberts? The chat was saying, he's saying they got.
The same thing. He reiterated what he said on Howie Carr that I got all the same stuff. I just couldn't do it because of same thing. Exactly, you were right on spot on. I got the same stuff. I just couldn't say anything, because of the protective order, and I couldn't.
Yeah, so I mean,
But yeah, you said he got the same text. He said
there's
text,
no way
not
that they
email.
use that against her because Okay, again, like if he has it and she has it, it pertains to witness intimidation. There's no other reason that he would get it.
Right. Yeah. You pretty much nailed it. He did. It was funny. I guess it's just one of those things on when they hear things. But he said text specifically. He didn't say emails. So I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't think. Right. It doesn't matter whether it's emails or text. Apparently it does to the defense team. The guy's like, you told us to preserve the emails, not the text. So they deleted 100 fucking texts and then gave over that fucking metadata. Oh, you wanted the text of the text. I never heard that before. When somebody says, give me all the text, and you just give them the metadata, we're like, no, we wanted that. Oh, you wanted the actual text of the text? I'm like, well, yeah.
Let me tell you, if the Commonwealth had said that same thing, they would be up in arms about destruction of evidence. You know it.
Well, we weren't under a preserve order. Well, what about what's his name? Hagen, the other guy. All they did was give her their phone to the smartest things they've ever done. Look what happened to that poor Jennifer, that Jen McCabe. Look what happened to her. Well, I'd get rid of my phone too. I asked my lawyer, can I get rid of my phone? Yeah, because what's the old saying go as far as your Bill of Rights? You need to assert your rights if you're guilty, and you especially need to assert them if you're innocent.
Mm-hmm.
I
Don't
haven't
know,
caught up
right?
on the events of the day yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and assume that Free Karen Reed did something stupid.
Yes, it's a way of life.
Just as to say that we weren't under a preservation order to keep the messages, well, it's bullshit. It's evidence.
Well, it's also work product. It's work product, and even in my industry, it's 5 to 7 years is standard that you keep work product. I've done litigation support. I've done litigation support version, but on small cases, not huge ones like this, and we're required to preserve for 7 years. You know, it's just
It's business records, right? Too.
yeah, business records too. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can get away
So
with
it's
that. I mean, you can say, "Oh, I had a fire" or something happened, but this is kind of serious. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this would need to be one hell of a fire.
It picked up all my text.
on 6 different phones.
No,
All
okay.
at the
So
same
let me see if I got it right too, because it was interesting. It was not just that, but the phone calls, right?
Yeah.
I have it written down. Let me go to it. You guys may have already talked about it. If you already talked about it, just stop me.
No. Go. You.
It was. Oh man, I gotta find it. I'm so disorganized. It's amazing.
You have shit written down. You're ahead of most of us.
Yeah, I didn't write anything
I was about to say you wrote notes, Nathan.
Like a waste of time.
Time
Nerd.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know everyone's like nerd.
Okay. It was 100 texts. Okay, we know about that. And then 52 minutes of phone calls to the ARCA main line. 5 calls, that's 10 minutes apiece there. 5 calls, 10 minutes. Then to the Wolf guys, 133 minutes for 20 calls. Dr. Wrestler? 57 minutes for 23 calls. And they're claiming that's just scheduling and admin. I mean, oh wow.
I don't know if I buy that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I'm sold either. It's a bit of a stretch.
That takes a long time to book a flight, and a hotel room, and that's
But you have to dial the ARCA number directly to do that?
Yeah, but if you're typing with one finger, it takes a while.
Were they in a cave when they were doing it? And so the reception was real sketchy and
in the Holland Tunnel.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out because they got to schedule ARCA to come in Friday. So let's see how long it takes. How many admin minutes?
Let's see how many separate times the defense complains about the fact that they're being made to call their ARCA witnesses in for a voir dire on such short notice.
Oh, it's the
How
Commonwealth.
unjust and expensive it is.
Yeah, and it's entirely the Commonwealth.
Oh,
fault
pull
because
them.
it's taken so long.
And for them, is it expensive for them? Because the prosecution haven't had to spend any money at all, have they, on their two trials, on their anything. You know, it's cost the state a ridiculous amount of money to put all of this on. So it's like sympathy is waning when it comes to financials on her side.
I will say, just to change gears a little bit, I loved how hard the prosecution went in their opening statement on Proctor. It really shows they've got fucking nothing.
Yeah, agreed. So I've just
Yeah.
seen that Aiden's been claiming that he had some kind of bombshell news on Kerry Roberts that, you know, he's obviously just trying to play fuck games and influence the trial. What is he going to say? That Kerry Roberts ordered a pizza from the Albert's Pizza Shop or something?
I mean, here's what's problematic about bringing Kerry Roberts into this. It really does show a weakness in their case, and they're actually exploiting that weakness because Kerry Roberts was never there. She didn't know those people. I mean, it's just becoming too weak.
They either didn't feel the need or, frankly, didn't have the courage to cross-examine Kerry in the first trial. So, strikes of desperation to me that they feel the need to do it this time around.
There was a better way to go about this, and I'm not going to get into that, but there was such a better way to go about this where they could have preserved their integrity, the appearance, public appearance and image of their client, to everybody. I just can't believe that this is the way they chose to go.
Some attorneys genuinely do not care about appearances. They just want to win.
Apparently.
But enough about Alan Jackson.
On
I
that
don't
topic,
know. Whenever I look at Miss Reed there, I do not. The word integrity doesn't immediately jump into my mind.
What is a word that jumps in your mind, Sarah Marie? Give us
Sorry?
another word that jumps in. Give us another word that jumps into your mind with Karen Reed instead.
Frogs.
Sorry, the only word that jumps in really begins with a C. Got four letters.
4 letters. Does anyone want to
And
buy
it ends in a T.
Okay.
And then the second word, actually no, first word murderous. The second word is that C one. So
you're from the UK. You're allowed to say it.
I'm a little judgmental.
I'll do it
in
for
my
you,
old
Sarah
age.
Marie. It is cunt.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if I could say it on the live stream.
Don't worry, I'll do it for you.
Okay, I think she's a murderous cunt.
Yeah,
There we
Cyrax
go.
has flashed his hand on the slide.
This is just
Sorry,
like
guys.
this is just like my personal thing. Like, I know the chances of Karen Reed taking the stand are non-existent because I'm pretty sure that any attorney worth a damn would bodily throw themselves between her and that. But just for fun, I would love to see Hank Brannon get his hands on her, especially to ask her about some of the comments that she's made in interviews, like, quote, he didn't look mortally wounded, unquote. I would sell tickets to seeing Hank Brannon tear her apart on that.
Wait, this is live? Nobody told me this is live.
Oh yeah, no, we're on the
interwebs. On the internet.
Streaming room.
It says stream room.
Oh my God! I didn't look at that. I just jumped in here. Hold on.
Oh no.
Well, you're famous now.
You haven't said anything bad. It's all good.
I didn't give my express written consent, so you'll be sued.
That's all right. Add me to your list.
You're on the list.
You're on the list, yeah.
Wait, this is being streamed?
Kate's actually wiretapping all of us.
Yep.
Oh no.
I do not want to contract with you.
Because I'm in a one-party consent state.
Yeah, and the Discord channel we're in isn't called the stream room.
Right.
Oh man.
That's what it said. I thought it said steam room.
Yeah. A way to make it weirder.
What? Did you
I
think
thought it was
that?
a steam room, and I was just waiting my turn. Thought everyone was too nervous.
It's like a sauna. We're gonna go in there and have a nice sauna.
Wait, is somebody
Gonna be
streaming?
This is the stream.
Literally,
It
Turtle was
says
hitting
No, we're
stream
above the
room.
Yeah,
stream. It's the scream room.
You are live on a Muscle Mafia.
Welcome to the stream room.
Well,
Yeah.
hi, Free Karen Reed. Can't wiretap us if we do it ourselves.
Screw it, we'll do it live.
Should I pick a different name other than stream room? Is that not like self-explanatory enough? Or
Oh
I
man.
didn't like part 2 or 3, but Scream 1 was okay.
Yeah.
Can't be
The
live.
sound of the tone, it's awareness o'clock.
I have anxiety.
Oh man.
That can't be live.
You're asking me to
Are
be
we on the internet, bro?
it sounds like tomorrow's gonna be quite the day. I'm gonna set up. I'll start setting up
For
real
me, man.
streams.
It's
I was
getting cool.
ill prepared. I thought that I was prepared, and then I was like, I'm just gonna run it through Discord. I will set up real streams though.
Maybe change it to streaming live on YouTube channel.
Jesus Christ.
No,
Flows off the
I say take it off all the way and let people figure it out on their own.
It's
Yeah,
random.
you got,
Random.
you gotta make it idiot proof. You gotta make it Naven proof. I mean, idiot proof. Yeah.
Oh,
So if I
Yeah,
were to name this
David,
room,
you are
like
one of the smarter people.
I'll name it Chris Albert's surveillance camera, and then everybody knows they're being wiretapped.
We
Oh,
don't have
shit.
enough covers to Naven proof it, Naven.
D&D
Sorry.
pizza surveillance
Yeah,
camera.
Kate does that. She's going to drag us all into the conspiracy thing, and next thing you know, we're all going to have blogs on TotalBoy.com.
Yeah, name it that. It's a good recipe to get people to just put their faces on camera and start screaming.
Yeah. Like a silent
I like
movie.
the scream
Like a
room
silent
idea.
movie.
We should do that.
It's like a silent movie. Would I try to read his lips?
Right,
Wait,
that
they had
had to
audio
be the
though, didn't
most.
they? I just saw
Like,
the.
that's the
they had audio
worst
that.
excuse. Like the guy should have just come out and been like, "Look, I was
No one ever
was
fucking
drunk.
shuts up long enough.
I was drunk. I made a bad decision." Like it doesn't really change anything, but like, what a douche he seems like when he comes out swinging. Like I was wiretapped. Like he was talking
Oh,
into
dude,
the
yeah.
camera. Into
Yeah.
the camera.
I was practically assaulted by that camera.
Right?
It hurt me too. It hurt me. Oh.
Hey, Kate.
Hi.
Wait, it's 2025. In 2025, you were wireless tapped.
Hey, you're live streaming Golden Eyes.
Hi.
Hey,
We're on the internet, bruh.
we're on the
live,
internet
Golden Eyes.
now. Streaming live.
It's
How
fine.
are
No,
you?
like no one's watching.
Yes,
I'm
we
pretty
are.
sure because no one gives a shit. Like my channel.
Oh,
Whenever I
good.
put Karen Reed stuff up there, everybody's like, "Why are you still talking about this?" But people should know
I
by
know,
now.
like,
that
I know we should be fighting about nonsense, right?
This is how I operate, though. I don't care if other people care about what I'm interested in. I'm just gonna
Right.
make content
Yeah, we
about what
know
I'm interested
that
in until I'm not
because
interested
you like to
anymore.
read the Dune books, so we know that's
Yeah.
Right, I
That's
do
a-
like to
that's
do.
a really
I
good
very
point.
much. I find them to be a brilliant series up until Brian Herbert took over. Thank you.
right, and that means not a lot to me, but I love you. I love that you love that.
Thank you.
You know,
So I'm just going through the footage from court today on double speed and no volume, and is it just me, or is Karen visibly looking more like she's shitting herself this time around?
well, she probably is.
I was going to say she was probably going to be doing that regardless of how on the ropes her defense team was,
Right.
but they seem extra on the ropes today.
I noticed when Special Prosecutor Brennan played the video of Karen after the testimony of the paramedic. She, if you watch the video and just pay attention, obviously it's obviously visible, but she is rocking in her chair. She is, in my opinion, becoming unraveled. And I'm not judging her for that because I think anybody in that situation would, but it's visible. I don't see any smirking. I see a lot of nervousness this time around.
Yeah,
She looked far edgier than she did last time to me. Like she seemed very smug last time, and it's like, or she would be hate staring people, in particular like Jen McCabe when she was on the stand. But this time she looks like her internal monologue seemed to be a lot more panicked this time around, and I think it's probably the influence of Hank Brennan. Is just my personal opinion. I think that he's living rent free in her head.
Absolutely.
I
Well,
mean, for
she
somebody
also-
as wicked smart as Karen allegedly is, you'd think she would realize, like, oh, hey, maybe my own words will be used against me if I continue to give these interviews.
Well, she also thought
I've heard that
first that she was going to be acquitted. So she was way more cocky the first time. Now she realizes this is the second go around. They had more time to prepare. They got Hank Brennan on the case, who is an absolute pit bull. He's playing chess while these other motherfuckers are playing checkers. And she's nervous because she knows likely it's not going to end in her favor.
Yeah, I'm becoming more and more convinced this with this whole case that the first trial was the defense's like loss. Like they had the opportunity to actually potentially secure an acquittal and they failed to do that. And now any even remote chance they had for that is gone. With Brennan at the head of the prosecution, I don't think she has any chance in hell of an acquittal, of convincing 12 people she didn't do it.
No, music
when she-
against her is brilliant.
Not when it's like there's a video of her on the first day saying, I hit him. No.
And there's more. That's the brutal part, right? Like, what?
yeah.
Every day is he gonna bring out the greatest hits of "I Did It" clips and shit? Like, holy fuck!
Yeah, maybe
Well,
he
I think
just
she-
has a
that's
playlist
wrong.
lined up for after every single cross-examination that Jackson is going to do. He's like, oh, by the way, I have a clip for that.
That's fucking
Yeah,
brilliant.
Jackson, that was good try. But have you heard your client say this yet?
Bro, she must have gone ape shit when she found out that the clips were going to be allowed in. Like, to have been Alan Jackson or David Yannetti on the receiving end of those panicked phone calls.
Well, what it,
I think she's got less of a.
and they made it great. The defense did a great job of the defense did a great job of derailing the whole case and getting off track. This periodically brings it right back on track, and it's fucking brilliant to put those old clips in there. As much as they can put out there in between witnesses, it kind of like brings it back because the defense they're trying to do. They're trying to send this thing all over the place.
But that's only so effective. Like you say, they just keep bringing it back around to like, listen to her say it, and again,
Yep.
here she goes. You haven't heard this one yet. This is a new one. Yeah, that's her saying she did it again, guys. Fuck.
She cannot be annoyed, right? That the prosecution are using these videos when she was stupid enough to make public announcements or announcements when there's audio and video recording in a TV studio or in an interview situation, and then expect that to be, oh, it's okay, I'll admit this, but keep it quiet, eh?
Or it's like she said during the a body in the snow documentary. She said, doing this is my testimony, and Hank Brennan went, okay then.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
like,
really.
what a retarded thing to say.
And you.
Aaron is wicked smart. How dare you say that about her?
She's part of her own defense team. She's in on every decision. What a fucking
I don't know. I
genius.
think she's a fucking idiot. She deserves everything she gets.
I just don't get why the lawyers are allowing this. Like, I don't know. A lot of mistakes were made. That's why, like, I don't tend to err on the side of believing that they're intelligent, making good decisions at this point. Like, deleting the text. I bet there was some real incriminating stuff there. I'm hoping that Arca saved it, but I wouldn't be surprised if whoopsie doodles, Arca's text messages auto-deleted too.
Yeah, deleted text number 97 was shit. Delete your texts.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's dodgy.
So question. Somebody mentioned earlier that some lawyers don't care about how they look. Do any of you think that there's a chance that Jackson, or probably more so Yannetti, at this point is like hating that he's in this and he just has to like make it through?
I think Yannetti hates it more than Jackson because Yannetti has to live in Massachusetts.
I think they both love it.
I was wondering.
I think
I think they both
Jackson
love the
does.
good
I think
parts.
Betty doesn't.
I think they are cowering behind Alessi right now in court as he's having to answer all of the actual difficult questions being posed to them by Kanone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Kate, I think you and I were having this discussion a while ago where probably the people who are considered to be the best attorneys are the most likely ones to be found in violation of the ethical rules because by virtue of them being the best, they are the most likely to go right up to the edge of those rules and sometimes stray over them. So ones who are getting disciplined do tend to be the more aggressive ones, the ones that probably have a potentially better success rate, but it comes with a risk.
Sure does.
I have a question. How big a fuck up do you think it was for both the Turtle Boy team and Karen's team to try and get that same lawyer? I know it's
I think
going
it was.
back.
I personally
like
think
a
it was
couple
dead
of
on
weeks,
arrival. No, that one was dead on arrival. There were rules that ethical rules about representation and rules and regulations governing lawyers, and this was a conflict that cannot be waived. So that was dead on arrival to me. I don't even know why they tried. It was probably just like a publicity thing. I'm not sure.
Well, that's what I thought. Well, that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen, because he was saying, well, there's no, I can represent them both, and there's no crossover. But all it did was make them look like there was a ton of crossover. Because
you have ethical duties. You have ethical duties and obligations to your client, and you can't really serve two masters, so to speak, in that regard. So that definitely created a conflict that couldn't be waived, and the court wouldn't allow it. Typically, you see when lawyers file these pro hoc vices, you typically see it go through no problem. But this presented with a really serious ethical problem, and it wasn't waivable. So they had to have known that.
I mean, Benaro's explanation was basically like, I just won't tell things that are disadvantageous to one party to the other party. It's like, well, that seems like a pretty glaring admission that you would do unethical things in order to represent both of them.
Well, that's the thing. He can't be ethical to both of them, because if there's a crossover, then he has to choose. This was a conflict that could not be waived, and I believe the court even stated it in the order.
Yeah. Plus, it did make it look like there was more collusion, which they were trying to say that there is not collusion, but it did make it look like there was more collusion than they had previously stated. Do you not think? Does anybody think that, or am I?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, how many times were they admonished by Judge Kanone for not disclosing the lengths to which they had been colluding with, let's say, unsavory characters like Aiden? Like Judge Kanone gave it to them several times over that.
Yeah, I just thought the whole thing was a bit odd, and it did lead her to grab a few more of Aiden's phones, didn't it? To have a look at. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll shut up.
This whole thing, like from start to finish, has just been absolutely pissing all over the entire point of the justice system.
And what really gets me is that these are the people who are making a mockery of the justice system. They're deliberately trying to poke holes in it for their own advantage. And then at the same time, they're saying, see how corrupt the court system is.
Yeah, they're playing it, though.
Oh, hypocrisy much?
Yeah, it's something Kevin says all the time when he's streaming, that if you ask people on the FKR side, they want a stacked jury. If you ask people on the Commonwealth side, they don't.
Right. Yeah, they want an unfair trial in Karen's favor.
And what's funny is, they're proclaiming that they want justice for Karen and stuff, but if they don't want an impartial jury, that's not what they want. It's not in line.
It's like the classic saying, when the facts are on your side, you argue the facts. When the law is on your side, you argue the law. When you have neither, you pound the table. And what we've been seeing from the defense has been nothing but table pounding.
Yeah, good point.
Well put. I mean, fucking almost goddamn literally.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
okay.
do
to
realize that,
actually-
sleazy lawyers have been around for a long time.
Yeah, but it's been sort of weird to see them sort of being like at this level and this obvious and blasted all across the TV. On now we're on the second version of this trial. It's just weird.
Chuck wants to be unbanned.
To what?
Sorry.
Well, obviously, the only thing they have left is the Chewbacca defense.
Yeah.
We don't count it out at this
If
point.
Chewbacca was on Endor, you must have quit.
Can Chuck be unbanned?
Is Chuck banned?
He said he's banned. He wants to
He-
come back.
Who banned him?
And from Discord.
That's fucking blasphemy.
I bet I know who. I bet it was Corrosive. Yeah, of course. We'll unban Chuck. He shouldn't ever be banned. If he was spamming in all caps with "she's your gifts" or racial slurs, that's a fair reason, though.
Oh, let me get him in here.
Yeah, I'll unban.
Would Chuck really do that?
He would. That's usually why he gets banned.
Oh yeah, he likes to throw
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
epithets around and threaten. Some of his antics are like threatening to drive like a limo up people's butts.
Yeah. It's violent.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
centipedes,
Houses
don't
on
forget.
people. Yeah.
Putting centipedes in there, driving hearses full of bugs in there.
You can tell Chuck
Yeah.
that I'm gonna kill this stream in a minute, and as soon as I do, then I'll go and ban him. I just can't do it because then I can't do two things at once.
Hi, Kate.
Well, he's all right because he's at the moment he's in the chat on the YouTube channel,
Is he?
but he's just not on the Discord. So
Oh, well,
it's no
hi,
big
Chuck.
deal.
Charles
What's up,
Stigall,
Chuck?
true American patriot, son of a sailor, good man. What else can we say?
I can say that Chuck would never ever get drunk and kill someone with his car, and if
No,
he did,
especially not his boyfriend.
no, he wouldn't do that to his boyfriend.
No,
No.
no.
No, I don't think he can drive either.
Wait.
Well, yeah, right. You don't need a license to drive.
Or to kill someone with your car.
Right. But
Again, I don't think he has a car to have to be.
Well, I wonder.
But he was weirdly pointing out his taillight the other night.
Oh yeah. He's not afraid to
Oh,
show
that
that.
greasy taillight. That's awful.
Yeah, that's probably been also broken to a bunch of different pieces.
Well, Chuck, you've derailed this conversation, but it's been going for 2.5 hours.
Perfect.
So I'm just gonna kill the stream and not the voice chat, obviously. You can stay as long as you want. It's not closing time.
Final words.
So I'm gonna end the stream.
I love you, America.
If you're watching on YouTube, then